Well, good morning. It is Sunday, March 27th, 2011, and I believe I said yesterday it was March 27th. So I get my dates mixed up, but it is another edition of Take 5. We're in Matthew chapter 12, verse 15. Jesus, aware of this, withdrew from there, and many followed him, and he healed them all, and ordered them not to make him known. This was to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet Isaiah. Behold, my servant whom I have chosen, my beloved with whom my soul is well pleased. I will put my spirit upon him, and he will proclaim justice to the Gentiles. He will not quarrel or cry aloud, nor will anyone hear his voice in the streets. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not quench, until he brings justice to victory, and in his name the Gentiles will hope. So Matthew here quotes from Isaiah chapter, and I'm going to look in my study Bible like I told you to do, because it is going to tell me exactly where this passage comes from. And this is from Isaiah 42. So I would encourage you, if you don't have a study Bible, get one. So we could go back and look at this passage. And it says that the reason Jesus withdrew from his opposition, these Pharisees that wanted to kill him, was to fulfill the prophecy of Isaiah. So Jesus was purposely fulfilling the Old Testament prophecy. And we learn some things about Jesus here from this Old Testament prophecy. It says that God's Spirit is on him. Of course, we all knew that already. But a couple of times it mentions the fact he would preach to the Gentiles. Now, the Jews certainly didn't understand that, and Jesus didn't do it a lot during his ministry. But what he did was he sent those 12, and it wound up being 11, to preach to all the ends of the earth, so the Gentiles would be covered that way. He did have some encounters with the Gentiles. But you can see even from Isaiah and now here in Matthew, the Gentiles were always on God's heart. Another thing we learn here, it says it was prophesied that he will not quarrel or cry aloud, nor will anyone hear his voice in the streets. Now, it doesn't mean Jesus didn't preach. It just means he wasn't overly extravagant. He wasn't any kind of political leader. That's political leaders quarrel and things like that. That's what they expected, but that should not really have been their expectation, because it's not what was prophesied. But they missed it. Remember, we talked about the fact they didn't read their Old Testaments. Jesus said, "Have you not read? Have you not read?" And he quoted, "It is written, it is written," many times throughout his ministry, because they didn't know what the Word taught. If they'd read some of these passages, they wouldn't have expected a military leader. And it says something interesting here, and this is perhaps the one of the more encouraging verses here, verse 20. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not quench. Have you ever felt like a bruised reed or a smoldering wick? That you're hanging in there, but barely. It says he's not going to break you. If you're a bruised reed, if you're a smoldering wick, he's not going to snuff you out. He's going to do what he can to fan that little spark that's there into flame. He's going to strengthen you if you're a bruised reed and make you strong. He's gentle. He's kind. He's not out to judge or destroy. One day it will happen, but that day hasn't come, and he's not like that. Until he brings justice to victory. We don't see a lot of justice in this world. But Jesus brought some justice to victory when he destroyed the power of Satan on the cross. But ultimately he will bring justice to victory when he reigns forever and ever, when all evil is stuffed out and righteousness rules, then we'll have a just situation. Good to spend some time in the Old Testament this morning, wasn't it? And we didn't even have to leave Matthew to do it. The Bible's wonderful. Hope you enjoyed today's edition of Take 5. Go to a great church if you got one. If you don't, contact me and I'll try to help you find one in whatever area you live in. And see you tomorrow on the next edition of Take 5.